introduction. And my greatest claim to fame is I'm married for 34 years and I have 4 kids. I want to thank all the fathers for coming tonight. You guys are really a role model for the community. Oh, never mind. Not one dad? Sometimes there's one. Sometimes there's one. Or 2 or 3 or 4. They didn't think they were invited, huh? I should just give up on it, right? That's good they get to watch the kids. Hopefully. Take care of the dog. Okay, thank you for being here tonight. This is a nice setting here. I feel like I'm kind of smart sitting with all these books. You asked me if I was the author. I said, no, I'm not Angela Duckworth. So how many of you read the book, Rick? It's okay if nobody did. Good. That's fine, don't worry about it. You got the idea. So I'm going to talk, okay, let me see. How many of you have 1 kid? How many have 2 kids? 3 kids? 4 kids? Anybody got 5? Okay, she's the winner. Yeah. So, and how many of you have college kids? Okay, in high school, junior high, elementary? Okay, good.
Oh, you still have home.
So I think the perspective that I want to come from, I want to try to just talk for a little while, not too long, and then we're going to ask questions. And I'm going to ask questions of you, okay? So we can have a little brainstorming and find some things to do that might be good for raising our kids. So I think I want you to think like big picture, because a lot of times, I was talking with Laura, we do all these great talks, and then we plan another talk 6 months later, the next year, and you're like, it was a great night. I go, I wonder if anything changed in anybody's life. I wonder if anything's different. And so I think one of the things we want to address tonight is why is it hard to make changes in our lifestyle, in our relationships, in the community, towards healthier functioning. So I want you to think big picture. So back up and think of like growing a tree in your backyard. Okay. If you're going to plant a seed, right? It takes a while. Anybody ever plant anything?
Oh, yeah.
Plant it. Okay, it's 3 inches high. I'm very happy. Took hold, and now it's 8 inches. Now it's 10 inches. And then, if you plant a fruit tree, by the time you actually get fruit off that tree, does anybody know how long it takes? Different types of fruit, it takes, sometimes 3 years, sometimes 5 years, avocados, whatever. Or if you work in a business where there's a product you have to make. You have to work together, like I was thinking, even like maybe you make a magazine, right? There's all the different components that go together to make that final product of a published, printed magazine, right? Or anybody, you or your husband work in any kind of industry where you got to make a product, you got to make a final product, right? So there's a long-term goal till that final product is done and okay, right? So it's like that with our kids. And what we have to do is start thinking of the final product, okay? I'll tell you why in a second. So we need to think of a 24-year-old that's done with college, in their first job, maybe in their second job, not living at home, on their own, out there in that big, bad, mean world, and they can manage out there. They can deal with circumstances, trials, tribulations, stress, weird people, conflict, disappointment, like the way the world is. We know the way the world really is, right? It's not all like easy and nice and loving and safe like it is at home right now. So we need to prepare someone to be that one day, that they can function on their own, that they can negotiate life. And you're always going to worry, but you'll be worried less because you can feel like, well, they kind of got it going. I'm okay. I feel okay with that. They're kind of got their intelligence going, and they're negotiating life okay. So if you look at growing a fruit tree, you look at making a final product, you look at raising this kid that's, even though your kid is 10 now, or 12 or 14 or 16 or 4, what are the ingredients that go into making a successful 24-year-old that can manage life on their own? Isn't that a good way to look at it?
Yeah.
It kind of takes you out of the stress of changing diapers every night. You're trying to create this thing, right? So to do that, there's same thing as planting analogy. you have to do a lot of stuff to help something grow, right? You need fertilizer, you need water, you gotta pull weeds out, you gotta make sure it doesn't get stepped on, you gotta let the sun get in there, you can't smother it, right? There's a lot of stuff that help for something to grow successfully. I tell husbands that, just so you know, when I do couple counseling. You've heard that, right? Your relationship is like a garden or like a plant. You can't just walk around and everything and kill it, right? To kind of get them to back up, be a little bit nurturing, a little bit, paying attention to what's going on. So, and then my goal tonight is that you would leave here with 3 things that you're going to attempt to do differently when you're in your family with your kids. And we'll talk about that later, what you've identified maybe you're going to focus on. So, the reason it's important to think of the 24-year-old is because, there's themes going on in not just our community here in Manhattan or Hermosa or Redondo or the South Bay or LA, I'll stop, for the country. There's themes going on that are really similar across the country in high achieving areas where people really want their kids to succeed. And it's a similar kind of thing going on. And then there's all these books being written and people are making a lot of money on these books. Huh, Laura? Going around giving speeches. All these Stanford researchers. It's good stuff. And there's themes going on that they found similarities across the country. And last year we did a focus around the Price of Privilege book. Anybody ever heard of that one? So what they found is, and you can see now, this year's like the follow-up kind of seeing the other side of the coin. So what they found is high achieving districts across the country that the kids have more anxiety and depression and substance abuse and suicidality, than kids in maybe middle income, where there's less stress and less pressure to do everything and be everything and take as many APs as you can. They did a survey of teens a while ago in the South Bay, and 55% of the kids had 5 to 9 things they were doing besides schoolwork. Clubs, rehearsals, practice, lessons, service, all this stuff. Sports, that's like, to me, ridiculous. That's like way too much. So why are these kids, they had all these, I'm not going to freak you out, we've got to talk about this a little bit. They had the Silicon Valley suicides and all these kids up there are killing themselves. They're getting all A's and they're great in sports. And why are they killing themselves when they have everything and everything going for them, right? Why do they not care about their life? So that's part of our strategy that we need to do is have our kids care about their life. But to care about your life, you have to feel like it's your life. If you're living for someone else, you're living to please your parents, you're living to please society, you're living to show off all your awards and all your accolades and how you look on paper to college apps. If that's your focus of your being, that everything you do all week is for that college app, this external thing, and there's nothing internal getting developed, and that's why life doesn't matter to a lot of kids, and that's why they live risky on the weekends, and they do crazy things that they could wreck their life because they don't feel like it's their life. I'm not trying to guilt trip you or anything, but they don't feel like it's their life. They feel like it's kind of out of control, over the top with busyness. So kids reported feeling disconnected from their parents and feeling depressed and feeling maxed out, right? And then listen to the statistic that Dr. Wesley told me 3 months ago, and I couldn't believe it. And I've asked everywhere, it's true. You probably heard this. University of California, it's hard to get into UCs, right?
Yeah.
Some are easier. We can all get in Riverside.
In Arizona.
Yeah. But some are like impossible. You get a 4.0. UCLA turns away 5,000 kids at 4.0s every year. But 40% dropout rate freshman year at UCs. 40% dropout rate. So then you go, well, what do you mean? How hard is it to get in?
Yeah.
And they can't get through freshman year. So what is going on? There's a myriad of things going on, if I said that word correctly. But they can't negotiate their daily lives. Across the country, and that's been reflected in a lot of these books coming out, the college campuses, it's a similar thing. College freshmen are like freaked out. I'm laughing, but the mental health department at the campuses are overwhelmed with kids showing up that need counseling because of their anxiety They're overwhelmed, they're freaked out. And for the first time, the mental health departments are connecting with the admissions department and the achievement educational advisors and realizing, oh, there's a connection here. There's a connection here. And they're finding the kids are not tough. The title of this book and the title tonight is called Grit. And here's some other titles of books now coming out. The Gift of Failure. How many of us want our kids to fail? None of us. I personally, I don't think that word is a good word. Because failure to me means actually an F. All right? So, but the failure a lot of these kids feel is they didn't get an A. They got a B. Or they didn't, they're not doing enough of everything. Or they never experience the consequences of their actions because everything's so protected for them. Okay, another one is how to raise an adult, like I said. Another one is overworked and underprepared. Kids are overworked and they're underprepared for life. Okay, so what do we need to do to get our kids so they can function on their own? 24 years old, freshmen in college, they're not home, and this, I was going to say UCLA. Peninsula High School had a Stanford professor come out and talk a few weeks ago. She wrote one of these books, How to Raise an Adult. They had 800 parents in the gym. And they did longitudinal studies at Stanford. What is in these 24-year-olds that makes them successful? What is the main factor? This sounds like a joke, this punchline. What is the main factor that in all these kids that they're done with college and they're working and they're okay and they can function on their own and live on their own somewhere around the country, not even close to their parents? You know what they found out? Chores.
Really?
They did chores. All right. So this sounds like my dad was a football coach. So all this stuff they're recommending in all these books sounds like sports training, right? Here comes a male. Hey. Welcome. This is a women's book club. Are you sure you want to come in here?
Are you kidding me? I'm doing something on purpose.
Okay, good.
Yes. Hi, everyone. How are you?
So, but however, they find a lot of the kids, the college freshmen. So I'll do a little bit of this, and we'll talk about our life. A lot of the college freshmen, they're having anxiety. They can't figure out, they can't manage like their schedule, and when they have to study, and when they have to go to class, and when they have to social life, big social life, right? College freshmen, and they can't handle it. And they're overwhelmed. Okay, and one of the reasons is many kids are used to things being done for them. Okay, and they like it. Like when you leave here and you're going to go to your kid, you're going to go, okay, you know what? I want you to start doing a little bit more for yourself. I want you to start doing a little bit of chores. Or you know what? Can you pick your stuff up? Or why don't you, me? You're going to try to shift some of that responsibility to them. Many kids like it that everything's done. They like the clothes being done for them. They like the cooking, the cleaning, the preparing, the scheduling being done for them. They're not used to scheduling on their own. Reminders, right? Don't forget. Tomorrow, 2 days from now, they don't have to do that. They like the follow-ups. They like the corrections in their errors. They're being protected from consequences. And they're living in an imaginary bubble of safety, of affluence, provision, success, winning, achieving, everything always going well, always getting A's, always doing good in everything they're doing. So they have a high bottom. Mom and dad has got it covered. And they feel a bit entitled. Mm-hmm. But what happens is they're internally weak to deal with disappointment, conflict, uncertainty, spontaneity, change, or unstructured time. There's something a lot of the college freshmen that can't handle when something changes that's not predictable and planned. It just throws them for a loop. I know it sounds crazy, right? It really sounds surprising. And they have minimal internal reflection, where they spend time thinking, what do they think? What do they feel? What is their opinion about something? Or thoughtfulness, or compassion for others, or caring. And they don't have maybe a lot of patience, self-control, or resiliency. And resiliency has been talked about all over the place now. How can we put resiliency into our kids, grow that characteristic in them? Many of the first job someone gets after college. How many people heard me speak before? Okay, we have to hear these stories again. This guy, Dr. Ken Eisenberg, he's one of the top pediatricians in the country. He came out and talked in the White House and everything. And they said that the first job after college is usually about a year and a half. And then the kid goes on to the next job. And what they found is these kids from the top schools, they usually draw from the top schools, you know, Ivy League or all these famous names, schools, that a lot of these kids can't handle the workload. The same as like college freshmen. They can't handle, like when you have a job, you have a supervisor. You have someone over you, right? And then they call you in and they go, here's your job description, here's all the stuff you got to do, and they give you evaluations, right? They do it every month, they do it every 6 months, every year, and they do process improvement, and they give you things you have to work on. You know, this is stuff you're doing good, and then we're going to work on these areas. They can't handle that. They freak out. They feel the rejection. They feel like they're failing. They're calling their mom. Their mom's calling the employer. They have parents showing up. Parents are showing up at colleges, going in there and talking to people, flying across the country, you know, this and that. So when a kid goes to the second job, well, anyway, so what they're doing, a lot of the big businesses, they're not looking for the top schools, top tier schools anymore, because the kids are so managed and they've been so perfect, they can't handle real life, you know, so they're looking at other schools. And I can say this, you may not believe it, but every school in America is a good school. Okay, every school, there's Division I, Division II, Division III, they're all good schools. If you talk to anybody, and we went around the room here, there's probably, you know, 15 or 20 or more colleges represented here, and everybody would say, I liked my college was good, right? Everybody you met your whole life, they liked their college, right? Just about. 99.9% like their college. Some school you never heard of in the middle of a place you never heard of. So all the colleges are good, but we need to believe that. When you're aiming for, because all this stuff, the stress that kids are going and all this over-the-top activity and everything, it's all for the college application. It's all to get into this name school. Matthew's back there filming, and I just interviewed him about, he's a high school student, so he's applying to around the country and this and that. So it's good to go to the name schools, but if you don't get a name school, it's okay to go to any school, you know, and maybe one that fits more where the kid's at. So I included tonight fascinating information on this handout about what Harvard is doing and Yale and Virginia and these top schools in terms of changing the admission requirements for college applications. You know about that stuff? It's amazing. So before, it's as many APs as you could take, and everything you can do, leadership, this and that is what we want. Now they realize kids are over the top with stress and anxiety and drug use and want to commit suicide. I know I sound like I'm being glib, but that's, you know, what's going on. And they're focusing on reducing stress by limiting course loads and extracurricular activities, emphasizing kindness instead of overachieving, and valuing different ways students make contributions to their families and communities. So instead of doing a lot of community service and racking up all those hours for your college app, they want to see them contributing to their families. I could just see the mom signing off on all this. Yeah. He got out of bed today. That's a good thing. No. But they said they want to see them giving to, like, if they're helping their grandparents, they're helping their, you know, brother, sister, they're helping mom and dad, like, which is great value, right? Giving to your family, helping your family. It's kind of like this full circle thing. You can see how old I am now. So a lot of these things are coming full circle. We need to be tough. That's what we were taught when I grew up. Okay. The importance of authenticity. A lot of kids are not used to being honest. They just say what needs to be heard, whoever the person is, and a lot of kids will say, like, I don't even know what the truth is sometimes, I'm just running around saying whatever I gotta say. So valuing honesty, you know, really important. My kids, I grew up, my dad was a super high achiever, super high achiever, really was, and my brother was ahead of me, super high achiever, straight A, Dean's List, quarterback of the football team, 6'4", full scholarship, college football, and I got lost in the shuffle. We had everything. My dad had nothing. He worked hard and earned money. We had everything. We got everything. So we were unsupervised. When I went back to do counseling at schools, one of the teachers was still there, and she said, "What are you doing here?" I go, "Well, I'm like a counselor guy now." She goes, "Oh, really?" Yeah, I have like a master's degree now, and she goes, well, let me tell you something. She's like looking up at me, and I'm like, yes. She goes, you and your brothers and all your friends were the worst kids we've ever had in the school district. And I went, I'm sorry, I don't remember anything. So she goes, you kids were out of control. So I was out of control. So somehow I ended up in psychology, see? Helping people, trying to prevent kids from being out of control and falling off the cliff or crashing their cars, going too fast. So I realized with my kids that I wasn't going to spoil them or give them everything. Because I saw the minimal value in having a lot of money. I mean, for a long time I was like, there's no value in it. There's no value in it. Because I look at our frayed relationships in our family, and how bad it was, and how stressed out everybody was, and no one was happy, and everybody was running around achieving for, fame and fortune. And so it's like nothing. Besides authenticity in relationships. So with my kids, I was like, I wanted them to do stuff for themselves. So when they could tie your shoes, you let them tie their own shoes, right? Whatever they could do, I wanted to push them. Why don't you do that now? Like, what? Yeah, you do that now. You take care of this. You take care of that. And in high school, although we could give them a car and do everything for them. I go, why don't you want to drive? Okay, fine, good. How about you pay for your gas and half your insurance? I'll pay the other half of the insurance and pay for the car. It's like, you may have to get a job. And yeah. So you didn't need to get a job, but I know the value of getting minimum wage and working at Domino's or somewhere, and you just work 10 hours a week, big deal, right? And same thing with my daughter and my other kids. So I wanted them to just grovel a little bit and suffer and see what it's like to do that, So they're earning something, and they love it. You see kids that work or kids that do something, they actually feel good. Kids contribute to doing something, just like helping someone else, they feel good. We've been taking groups of kids to go work with the homeless, just to serve lunch and hang out and talk with the homeless guys and ladies. And the homeless people tell them their story, and our kids are crying. We take nice, high-achieving kids from the South Bay and do that. We go with the Boys and Girls Club and do stuff with kids that live in the housing projects down there in San Pedro. Kids love it. They get outside themselves. So another thing that's emphasized in here is engage in meaningful community service. And we're getting to the solutions now, but one of the things is a lot of kids do service, community service, set up chairs at an event. That's their community service. We realized in my counseling group about 6 years ago, we need to help kids find what they're interested in life. We can sit there and talk to them all day about their feelings, but what are you into? What do you like? What interests you in the world? What do you want? If you could do anything, what would it be? And to help them through, pulling it out of them, a passion inside of them, a talent they have, a skill they have, and then, okay, great. Now let's figure out where you can go get experience of that. Where can you volunteer to do something? Where can you go, whatever it is. And they'll be happy to go if they love horses, to hang out with horses. This is a funny story. This girl that was, just a local girl here, out of control, fighting with her parents, doing everything bad you can think of. So I'm trying to find the talent. As the family's arguing, we had this family group thing going on, and I realized that I noticed that she's on Tumblr and on all these sites, saying how much she hates her mother for 10 paragraphs. My mom's this, my mom's that, my mom's nice Maricosta girl. All this and all this and all this stuff, right? So I go, do you like to write? She goes, yeah, because my mom, my mom. I go, okay, wait. Maybe you should try to write like school paper, journalism. She goes, well, I was going to take that, but I didn't think they'd take me. Anyway, we got her an internship at the Beach Reporter. Free intern. She wasn't getting paid. She started writing. She developed her writing skills. She got her passion. She calmed down. Some kids like horses. This kid teaching swimming lessons. And you can take the kid who's totally none of your kids acting out, doing drugs, doing all this negative behavior, and they find something they like, and it totally calms them down. They find their direction. They find your meaning in life. And that's one of the important things they're stressing here. So with my kids, what I focused on with them is being honest, telling the truth, character stuff, like Boy Scouts. Character. So are you honest? Tell me the truth, and just making an effort. Making an effort is good enough. It's not you have to get A's. Even if it's not your best, whatever, 80%. Being involved, motivation, finding your passion, finding something you like, and not lying to us, and being a person of good character. So because I knew if they were doing that, then they're going to be successful in life. People are going to trust them. People are going to see they have integrity. People are going to want to employ them. They're going to do well whatever they're doing. So it wasn't so much the GPA. And I'm very proud of my kids, and they're good, really functioning. And even now I'll ask them, because my youngest is 32. That will be you one day. And that's my daughter. They're like, well, why didn't you like partying in high school? She goes, what are you talking about, Dad? I go, well, like, why don't you go to parties? Everybody's getting drunk. And she's like, why? So I can go there, get drunk, get raped? I'm like, I should say this. Oh, I should have said that video. Oh, well. I go, no, I was just saying, everybody. She goes, no, I don't want to do that. This is stupid, it's this and that. So somehow they had some sensibility in them. We also did a lot of stuff together as a family, which is one of the remedies too. Kids that eat dinner together 2 to 3 times a week or more have 40% less probability of problems, of anxiety, of depression, of eating disorders, of drug use, of risky behavior, just because they eat together. So that's one of those things that's an ingredient that goes into growing that kid. Together time. Okay? Now, a lot of kids don't want to be with their parents. It's the last thing they want to be. So you have to find some common activities that you could do with them, or your husband has to, or one-on-one, or two-on-two, or whatever. Find out what they're doing. You may have to enter their world, and go with them whatever they like to do, or watch whatever they're doing, and that way get some bonding going at some time, because they need time together with their parents. They still value you more than anybody else. So, communication and connection. We need to change our relationship with our kids from being the parent over the kid to like shifting to be parallel. When they're little kids, you do everything for them. When they get a little older, you do stuff for them and they do some of it. And then they get older, middle school, they start doing stuff and you kind of there while they're doing it. When they get to 14, 15, 16, 17, you want them to be doing stuff and running stuff in their life and managing. So they're getting the sense of managing their life. And it's kind of like you have to look at your kid as they're kind of like not your kid. Like you can probably talk to your kid's friends, right? And they can probably talk to you. And they go, well, how are you, Mrs. So-and-so? Fine. How's soccer? Good. How's this? And you guys talk to each other, right? And then that kid tells your kid that your mom's really cool. And your kid goes, who? The lady in the kitchen? So why is it you can talk to someone else's kids and they talk to you, right? Because there's not all these emotions involved of all this tension and all the stress and all this stuff. So we need to somehow pull the emotions out of it when you're with your kids. So you're not always on them, guiding them, manipulating them, pushing them to be something, do something, and all this stuff. So they don't want to get away from you. You need to have just chill out time. We're actually doing nothing. This is another thing in all these books. Downtime. Play. No one plays anymore. Once they get to about 8 or 9, they stop playing. It's all work, got to do this, got to do that. It's all achievement focused, to be a super kid. Parents competing to raise their little super project that they're raising. So, playtime, downtime, your brain needs to be off sometime, right? We need that time hanging out together. Maybe it's in the car, maybe it's going for a walk, maybe it's going to eat. But you need time, and each kid is different. You're going to have to find different ways to connect with each kid, and whether your spouse does it or you do it for different kids, different times, it doesn't matter as long as one of you is kind of connecting and can kind of take the pulse of what's happening with that kid and kind of track with them. The reason kids don't talk to us is because we freak out on them. They tell us something, and we're like, you have to not react. You go scream in your pillow later. If you're alarmed at what they're telling you, that there's happening in their life or around their friends or whatever, but you have to not react with this anxiety and this fear thing on your kids, otherwise they don't want to come to you. They're not going to want to talk to you. They're not going to see you as someone they can talk to. They ask kids across the country, who could you talk to if you needed to talk to someone, and they give a whole list. And the parents are on that list, the coach is on the list, a teacher, maybe a counselor, a leader, a youth leader. And they go, who do you talk to? They go, I talk to my friends. Who are kind of just as lost as maybe they are. So they would like to talk to you, and they still value your opinion, and your opinion is still the greatest one in their life. Yes, their peers' opinions are a lot, but yours carries the most weight, and you can just tread very lightly, and you don't have to do much, and your opinion will get passed on. So we need to shift our parenting to be parallel. We're like kind of going through life with them, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, going through life with them, seeing what they're like, what they're interested in, what their passion is, and changing our parenting. Instead of telling them what to do or reminding them, is asking open-ended questions. Let them, it's their life. How's it going today? How's science going? How's it going with your friends? And just listen. Like every family I see that's made a lot of progress, when they talk about what did you learn, they say, I learned to listen. The adults say, I learned to listen to my kid. And a lot of times we're like, that's the last thing I'm doing. They need to listen to me. Are you kidding? I listen to them? You know how dumb they are? Right? But you need to listen. Like, what is going on with them? What are they feeling? What are they thinking? What are they struggling with? What's their fears? What's their worries? What's their challenges when they leave your nest and they go out there? That's hard for them to deal with, and it's different for every kid. And you need to know their main 3 or 4 vulnerabilities, because you're going to try to help them learn some coping skills to deal with that coach or that kid or that lesson or that class or how they think about themselves, right? It's those areas they have vulnerabilities in that they could get tripped up in. Okay? So they will talk to you if you slow down and practice listening and not freaking out. Okay?